So welcome everybody. We do have well over 400 people signed up to come today. I do know that a lot of people sign up and then they come in a little bit late, so we're expecting quite a few more. But as it is, we've got delegates from all around the world. So bienvenue, bonjour, selamat datang to the people from Indonesia. It's lovely to see you here.
If you are from a Farsi speaker.
Yes, and like I am seeing loads of people from America, loads of people from Canada. Oh, that's fantastic. And I know we always get a really good contingent from New Zealand. I've got to get over to New Zealand. Welcome today. Today is all about People Make Play. It has been an absolute pleasure watching the films that have been sent through today, talking to people about it's not just the head teacher who decides how much play is in the playground, although they are absolutely key. It's not just the governors who decide that a school has good play in it. It's your heroes who are out in the playground. We'll hear a lot about them today. Do see if you can fill in that poll that we've got going. I'm going to see, where are we? Oh, I'm going to, in fact, I'll give you a couple more minutes and I'm going to come back in on that in a minute. Introduce yourself, where you are, tell us why you're here in the chat. First and foremost, I am delighted to introduce Michael Follett. This is going to be our conference speakers for today. We will be hearing from Juliet Robertson in just a few minutes, and then from some head teachers, some curricular leads for play, some play coordinators, some TAs, people right there on the front line. And then we'll have a Q&A at the end. There is a Q&A function in the webinar. Please do let us have your questions. Jamila's in the background collecting up questions to ask the panel. And we've also got a lot of mentors on here that Michael's going to tell you about. Michael, I'm going to stop the share. You ready to share your screen?
If you enable me to share screens, at the moment it says host disabled participant screen sharing. So if you...
I thought we'd sorted that one out. Beth, can you make sure that everybody is co-hosts? Make co-host.
Okay. That's good. We now have.
So, Michael, I first met Michael Follett way back in 2008 when he took me to a wonderful playground just north of Bristol. And I walked onto that playground and I remember turning to him and going, "What have you done? It sounds different." And in an hour and a half of walking around on a damp Tuesday lunchtime, very few children wanted to come and hold our hands. Nobody came up and said, sir, he hit me, sir. Nobody wanted a bit of blue paper with some water on because they'd had an accident, because they were all so busy and happy. Michael, talk to us about OPAL.
Good. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us. I'm really delighted to see people joining us from all over the world. As I just said in the intro, I'm on a mission. We're on a mission with OPAL that every child in every school has an amazing playtime every day, with no exceptions. I don't care if you're sporty, if you're non-sporty, if you're a boy, if you're a girl, if you're 4 years old, if you're 11 years old. Every child should be having an amazing playtime every day. So when we're thinking about play, we use the play worker's definition of play, and that is, play is a process that is freely chosen by the child, that it's intrinsically motivated. The motivation to do whatever it is, if it's to get inside that blue barrel or get on top of it, the motivation to do it comes from the child. And the direction that the play takes is the direction provided by the child and not by the adult. So that's the play worker's definition of play, and that is what we aspire to in the work that we do. And we hope that however you promote the play in schools, that you keep that definition at the heart of what you do. We are OPAL. We are a eclectic group of people who all share the same passion for improving play in schools. And the OPAL team is drawn from amazing experts, from lecturers in play work to international clowns with PhDs in play, to play strategy people, to ex-teachers and head teachers. So we come from a range of backgrounds. The thing that we all share is this real dedication and passion and expertise in supporting schools to make play better and better and better. So the programme that OPAL provides is a kind of school improvement based programme, really taking the idea that although play is freely chosen and a very loose thing, actually making it better in a school is quite a long process. It's quite a difficult process. It requires lots of thought and lots of care and lots of attention, which is why we're there to support schools on that transition, on that journey. And the organisation, from me developing it within a school improvement service in South Gloucestershire Council, to launching the not-for-profit OPAL CIC in 2011, when I did 11 schools. I think this year we're going to be doing between 400 and 500 new schools every year. And that means that we've improved play already for over 500,000 children, which we're really delighted about. And they are OPAL children. They are fantastic play experts. So as I say, this is our mission. This is probably my favourite OPAL picture ever, because look at the faces of the adults and the children. That is what every playtime should feel like. Just a wonderful, joyful expression in every way, physically and emotionally and socially, just having the best time. And that's what we're aiming for with every school that we work with. Why should we do it? Why should us busy people and you busy people, whatever you're doing in a school, I'm sure you are busy, whether you're a senior leader or a teacher, it's not like we're all kicking around with nothing to do. Why should we bother? I think of us as being responsible for children's childhood. And this is a little spot the difference fun thing. So these are places where apes experience their apehood, one in Toronto and one in Chester. What have the people done to ensure there's a good apehood here? So maybe contact with nature, maybe loose parts, maybe upper body strength, maybe places to hide. People in charge of these spaces would be thought about what is a good apehood and what is needed for mental and physical and social well-being. And when we think about where childhood is spent, here we have a typical child enclosure in a typical school. I can use this slide because this school have now gone through the OPAL process, and I can guarantee this space does not look like this anymore. But it is interesting just to think that in the UK, animals have better rights to children, better rights to time and space outdoors than children do. So there are legal requirements, if you have free-range chickens, how much space they have, that aren't for children. There are legal requirements for prisoners, how much time outside they have, but that aren't for children. So what are we doing? What concept do we have of what a good childhood is? And as keepers of children, what are we doing to make sure that that vision of a good childhood is translated into practice? This slide is often surprises senior leaders. Out of 7 years at primary school, typically a UK child will spend 1.4 years at play. And really a challenge to you is to say, what other area of school life that takes 20% would not have a policy informing it, a vision, would not have a strategy, would not have reflective practice, would not have a body of professional knowledge imparted to the staff delivering it. There are 3 areas of school life that take 20% time, by the way: play, literacy, and maths. Those are the 3 areas. So a lot of time is spent. And the workforce delivering that 20% currently costs the UK £750 million every year. And what's the vision behind it? What's informing the practice of those people who are delivering 1 day a week of your school's delivery? That's what 20% is, 1 day a week. So where are the resources? Where's the planning? Informing what those people are doing for 1/5 of your school's delivery. It's interesting that in the UK, and this is very UK based, this slide, that our schools inspection are now starting to notice play, and they want to know what your intent is. What are you trying to do for children's mental, physical and social well-being? How are you implementing it? And what's the impact? And I'm pleased to say that in this Ofsted report, the phrase outdoor play and learning popped up when they were talking to the children, which I think is great. Do we need to provide evidence that play is good for children and schools should be addressing play? The case has already been answered. And if you want evidence, just download the massive research piece that OPAL commissioned and Sport England paid for, called The Case for Play in Schools, a review of the literature. We don't need to make the argument anymore. Should schools be doing play? The answer is, of course they should. And there's the evidence if you want it. So the OPAL programme is really to enable schools to create a whole cultural change. The whole school community, addressing all 18 areas of development every school needs to address. We do an audit at the start, an audit at the end. And the aim is sustainable change. It's not a flash in the pan thing. We're not entertaining children. We don't work with children. We work with leaders to make sure that this area of school life is as thoroughly addressed as maths, literacy, child protection. For those of you that would like to access some of the benefits but can't because we're not providing the programme in your country, your school, don't worry. Go on the OPAL website, register, and there's a whole load of free resources you can access, including this amazing free playwork course. Costs £65,000 to develop, and Sport England paid for it, and anybody can use it and learn about playwork. So get on the site, register, and use the course, and download these free books as well. So even if you don't do the OPAL programme, we still want you to make play better in your schools. We are also, in December, launching a new CPD site called OPAL College. And the idea of this is that once you become an OPAL school, we will always provide you with continuing CPD to make sure you never fall back on your risk, you never fall back on your playwork practice. And there also will be a visitor section where you can access things that aren't to do with the OPAL's intellectual property, but are about play in schools. So we are founded in playwork. We work to the 16 play types. If you don't know about the 16 play types, you can't really provide fantastic play because they're the basis for understanding the complexity, the richness of children's play. So in conclusion, I would say that play isn't just important. I think it's essential to children's well-being and development, mentally, physically, and socially, and we cannot ignore it as part of good childhood. Most schools invest almost no time, money, leadership training in providing anything like sufficient, equal or fair pay provision for their children. At the moment, hundreds of millions of pounds are being wasted on a workforce that is just not being equipped to provide children with better playtimes. And whether you sign up to OPAL or not, please invest in your staff and start to think about a strategic approach to play in your schools. And that would mean addressing leadership and playwork values, having a policy base and a strategic approach, and a cycle of continuous improvement. So that is my presentation. 44 seconds over time, which isn't too bad.
Michael, that isn't too bad for you. I've done a lot of presentations with you. That's really good. Well done. Oh, We've had quite a number of people on the chat asking if they can have a copy of that presentation. It is available on our YouTube site. Michael's done that presentation or similar ones before all of our previous conferences. So look on OPAL Playtime, and we are live to YouTube if you want to share that to your friends. I'm going to end the poll now because this is fascinating. I'm sharing the results. Right, can you see? I've shared the results. How do people see that? How do people see that? So I could just tell you, 2% of respondents, and it's quite a number, think it was 94% of parents at school disapprove of hurt and dirt, okay? 74% of respondents think that 24% of you think that 74% of parents, 18% of you think that 54% of parents don't like hurt and dirt. There's about a third of the people in this webinar think a third of parents, 34% of parents disapprove. Do you know who's right? Michael, what would you guess on this? Would it be 4%, 14, 34, 54, 74, 94% of parents disapprove of hurt and dirt in play?
Kath, I already know the answer to this. And it's not what anybody thinks.
4%. 8 of you got it right. 4% on average. When I've done surveys now in about 40 schools. When I merged all the data, it's about 4% of parents disapprove. Nobody strongly disapproves across that. It was like, there was one across like hundreds, so it's like 0.0. And in almost all schools, between 60 to 80% of parents either approve or strongly approve of some mud and some accidents in play, which I hope is a good start. Michael, thank you very much. You'll be back for the Q&A later. I'm going to welcome Juliet in now. Juliet, can you switch your camera on? Bye, Michael. Hello.
Hello.
Oh, so good to see you.
Yes, hello, everyone. It's lovely to be part of this.
You're calling now from Aberdeen?
That's right, yes. I live just north of Aberdeen. 7 degrees.
Yeah, the sun hasn't quite set here down in Whitstable in Kent, but I think you're already dark. Oh, Juliet, I met you, I can't even remember how many years ago we first met. We met on Twitter.
That's right, yes. We met on Twitter, and then we were both at the IPA Play Conference in Wales. So that was fantastic to meet in person. And I would say that to anybody that the International Play Association do fantastic triennial conferences, and the next one is in Glasgow in June 23. So if you can make it, fantastic. You will find it's probably one of the best CPD's professional developments you do.
Absolutely. Julia, I know that everybody's can't wait to hear what you said. We did a pre-record, so you're going to come back afterwards in the Q&A. I'm very glad that you're here. Everybody, Julia is one of the world's experts on outdoor learning and play. She got a Winston Churchill Award, didn't you, that funded your initial transfer from being a head teacher of a rural primary school up there in Scotland to being this outdoor learning expert that has lectured in Australia, in Canada, in America, all across the UK. When I mentioned to one of my schools that I had you speaking here, it was like this look of total delight. Oh, she came to my school like 10 years ago and transformed our practice.
Oh, how amazing.
I hear that so often. Anybody who knows about Forest School, who is thinking about outdoor learning, you can get couple of Juliet's a published author, Messy Maths, Creative Teaching, and there will be links in the chat. Yay! And even though they're aimed at early years, definitely they're useful for all. Juliet, just tell us something interesting for a moment whilst I just sort out the tech.
All right. Well, I hope everyone finds this really interesting. Certainly my experiences both as a head teacher and as a consultant are that play revolutionises a school, it's the make or break deal for the children who go. If playtimes are well set up, as likely they'll end up focusing and being better able to concentrate back in class, and they will find that they have at least something to look forward to about school. So yeah, I think that's probably one of the things I might say just for openers. And hello everybody, thank you for joining this very, very exciting presentation. I'm aware we're short for time, so I'm focusing on one thing that we as practitioners can do to make a difference to the quality of the play that children have, because very often people worry about, are there learning links? Of course there's learning links. I'm doing this in a less obvious way, but I'd just like to give you some food for thought. So the only main message I'm giving you today is this. Okay, resources, we want to focus on variation and not repetition. And I'm going to illustrate that with my pegs. So it'd be very easy for you to think, oh, the children need some pegs for den building, and you go out and you buy a pack of 30 pegs that are all the same. My argument is that that's a missed opportunity on many levels. First of all, if you ask for donations of pegs, you will get a much more interesting variety. From a learning and play perspective, you then start increasing the amount of creative and problem-solving possibilities. So when I say that, I want you to have a close look at these, and I want you to think, why would I say asking for different pegs would increase the mathematical possibilities? Or it could be technological, or it could be literacy possibilities. But why does it lift the learning?
There's more questions.
Tell me more.
There's things to talk about. There's colours and shapes and different types of ends, different strength of bite of the pegs.
Yes.
Anybody else?
Yeah, if you were... Oh, you go, Michael.
Different materials. I can see some chrome, maybe, on one of them.
Oh, yeah. Like, as engineers, they've got to know the difference between plastic and metal and rubber.
Different colours make you think of different inspirational things. So the orange one made me think of a crab pinching.
Oh, more stories. Each one could have its own story.
If I was building a den, I might be thinking, oh, that one looks a bit smaller. It's not going to be strong enough to hold this pole, but that one's a bit bigger, so maybe I can put a heavier tarp on my den.
Yeah.
And you've got two to match and two haven't, and oh.
So do you see now that because we have done a variety of, and this is just pegs, okay, I haven't talked about ropes, I haven't talked about tarps, I haven't talked about all the other sorts of loose parts you might have in your kit. But basically, I always say to schools, don't go out and buy a den building kit with 6 blue tarps all the same. Beg, borrow, ask for donations, and really make the most of the variety, because the variety, as you've already pointed out, increases the learning. Because every time a child goes to use one, it'll have a different tensile strength. Some will be great for den building, some will be rubbish. Some will be very good for hanging things up, others will be rubbish. That sort of stuff. So all around, what we've quietly done is lifted the learning, but we haven't, we've actually enhanced children's play and not taken anything away. This does not require an adult to go, oh, have you noticed? All an adult has to do is to say things like, can you pass me a yellow peg? Oh, I didn't mean the one with no spring in it. Have you got a yellow peg that's got a spring in it? Because I need a bit more strength. That's all an adult needs to say. So suddenly we've got much more interesting dialogue going on. So we apply that concept to everything when it comes to resourcing outside. So I'm just going to give some other examples. I often have white sheets. Now, this isn't any old white sheet. I sound like a Marks and Spencer's advert now, don't I? This happens to be 1 metre square, which is very hard for you to see online. But the reason why I have a lot of my materials in 1 metre length or 1.5 metre length is so that when it comes to mathematical possibilities, if children are playing with these, they're actually getting a feel for what 1 square metre actually feels like. And at the moment, we have a national problem in the UK in that if you ask your year 5 or year 6 children, what does a square metre look like? Most of them have no idea. But so this is straight away when they're playing with this, they're just getting a feel. And of course, if we're talking about variation, not repetition, we might go for other things. So here's another example of a white sheet. This time I've pimped this one. So this one has a grid on it now. No expenses spared. It's just done with permanent marker pen. Now, my top tip is when you do this, make 3 up, because the first one takes forever to do. But then you keep that precious one as a template and you can just use it to draw over. So this one has been drawn over at least 2 or 3 times. And I pop it in the washing machine once it really gets really smelly and grubby, but otherwise it's just left as it is. Now, this isn't any old grid sheet either, because actually, if you cared to count, it's a 10 by 10 grid sheet. But furthermore, because I want to extend the mathematical possibilities, I've made sure that each one precisely fits your Dean's block of material. So suddenly, that's almost the ideal size for playing maths games. So if I wanted to use this sheet within a formal lesson, I suddenly have a grid. But most importantly, the children will just play with that. It might be a cloak, it might become a game, but it doesn't matter. The point is that we've offered those mathematical possibilities. Another example is some tarp. So we all know that children will wear out tarp quicker than anything, especially if they use it to slide down hills. All right, I've worn out a lot of tarp that way. But we want to make the most of every single resource. So once you start getting holes, you can put in, if I see, different shapes. Now, the children can do this with you. Again, this is no expenses spared. If you look closely, that's a rectangle. It's actually made from a matchbox, and I just reinforce it with masking tape. Sometimes you get sort of just holes like that from ripped rivets as well. But what I've very carefully done here is I've applied the geometric principles of rotation, of shape, of scale. So we have small and large if it's exactly the same size, of translation, that means just moving it but not changing it, and of reflection. So this may just look like a play tarp. The children will see it as a play tarp, but I, as an adult, should I wish to use it in a different way, can point that out. And when I talk with the children during the play, I can just say, you know, because they really want to do things like throw things through. So you can say, well, why don't you go for the shape that's been rotated? That could be easier to throw the ball through. That's all you need to do. And you've got the language that you're providing and a play possibility, but you're not making it dull. You're not going, oh, I wonder which is the most interesting shape here. You know, can anyone see a rectangle? We're not interested in that. But what we're interested in is how do we just tweak the resources to transform the learning that happens with no effort, and it's still play. Does this make sense? And are there any questions? Okay, I'm going to just, if there's a little bit more time, I'm just going to add in a couple of other useful things to think about. So I didn't have time to unravel my rope, But any rope, if you ever have rope, be it washing line, be it other bits and pieces, for whatever purpose, put tags at 1 metre. Then it becomes a giant measuring tape, which is absolutely fantastic. So I use those an awful lot for information handling work, like creating graphs outside. But children will just use it in their play. And all it literally takes is a little bit of mask marking tape. That's electrical tape, if you can see there. That's all it is, at 1 metre intervals. Okay, during COVID, I had it at 2 metre intervals. Other things, old telephones, old calculators, my Forster resistance, look at that, syringes. Very often, if you know somebody who works in a laboratory, they can give you a variety of syringes. So I have, this is my biggest one at 60 mil, but sometimes they have ones at 10 mil, 5 mil, 20 mil, and they are all just brilliant. And I actually think every play worker needs one, Charlie's Angels style. Oh yeah. If you want dice outside, do you see these indented ones? These are the ones that I find are the most robust. So this particular example, I have ones like this that look very battered because they're used for playing football. All right, so that's the sort of level of toughness you want in a resource. If you've got more fragile resources or little fiddly things, I just suggest that in your pockets you always have a couple of dice. You might want a sand timer, because every kid so often wants to be timed, and I always have a helpful little snake. So this is Sid, the stripy 1 metre rope snake, and he helps me with measuring activities and for checking things out when I'm just going around. But again, I don't force the learning. It's just part of the play of being a play worker. All right.
Isn't that wonderful? Oh, I could sit and listen to Juliet talking all day. And like, believe me, if I'd let her keep going, she would have just kept going. Many, many, many more ideas. If you want to see all her ideas, check out her website. It's in the chat. Anthony, you should be front of stage by now. Can't see you. I am delighted to welcome Anthony back. Juliet will be coming back for the Q&A. Make sure you get your questions into Q&A and into our chat. Anthony, hello.
Hello, how are you?
I am fine. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you.
Last time we spoke 18 months ago, I think you were just about to get the world's largest sandpit.
We were, yeah. We just started out, yeah. It was, it's here. We've definitely got it, and we'll have a look at it in a little bit. But yeah, it's been a journey, hasn't it? It's been good, and still more to do.
Absolutely. I believe you get your final little audit coming up soon, is that right?
Yeah, week on Tuesday is our final one. So yeah, Ingrid will be coming to see all the amazing support she's been giving us and see where we're up to. So yeah, it'll be fantastic.
Fantastic. It's like, so Anthony, you worked in school improvement before you became a head teacher, I believe.
I did, yeah. So I was a deputy head teacher, non-class based, and did lots of kind of school improvement work, and then took the decision of moving into headship rather than kind of going down the freelance route. And yeah, it's the best thing ever. So 4th year here. I've been doing OPAL ever since the big bad world of COVID kind of disappeared. We kind of jumped on board and thought, yeah, play is definitely the way forward. And we've kind of been pushing it ever since, really.
Hi, I'm Anthony Mcgeeney, head teacher of Galley Hill Primary School, a proud OPAL family member where we value play in everything that we do. People make play, children enjoy play, as well as adults, and you're about to see play at Galley Hill.
And OPAL is a huge part to our school at Galley Hill. Within my role, I make sure that the play leaders are organised and we have lots of playtime, lots of fun, and make sure that we have a timetable so that all of the children can enjoy OPAL every day.
coordinating all of the adults outside. So if we've introduced a new piece of equipment or a new area, I'll explain to the adults so that they can talk to the children about it appropriately. This is based on the play assemblies, so the children will already know what they're supposed to do. But in order for the adults to be able to support them in their play, they need to know what the rules are as well. I also talk to the adults about things like, well, it's really wet today, so can we make sure that everybody's wearing the wellies when we're on the grass, or it's really dry, so it's absolutely fine, we don't need the wellies today. So that the children can have the best playtimes possible with the minimum adults not knowing what they're supposed to be doing and things not going the way they're supposed to go.
The OPAL scheme is a play-led programme engaging children's interests by using their imagination, giving them the means and opportunities provided by the school to explore and engage in interesting activities. OPAL helps build social skills, whether or not it's making a mud pie in a kitchen with friends, helping each other climb a tree, or using old tyres and wooden boards to create challenging obstacle courses. Not only is OPAL a brilliant way to encourage children to enjoy physical outdoor activities and socialise, it helps them build confidence and resilience when things don't always go to plan, teaching them to problem solve as a team and overcome any issues they may come up against. As OPAL play leaders, we try our best to use natural resources such as conkers, leaves for example, to create animals and insects, encouraging children to explore their creative side.
I'm definitely getting, Anthony, that somebody didn't want to stop putting in those gorgeous photographs. It was like image after image. That sandpit, my goodness. So who would you say, like, of all the people that have helped that play happen, who is it that's been helping you most?
Everyone, probably parents. I think parent support is really big. I think with getting them on board, so whether it's the caretaker, always have your caretaker on side, because the caretaker is your best friend from putting absolutely everything together, to the parents who constantly bring things in, to local businesses as well. So what we try and do is get as many businesses to kind of come in and help and support us. So towards the end, we've got all those pallets for free, and what we're trying to do is get the children to like recreate things at playtime and lunchtimes with them. So a local business came down, donated them and did that. So yeah, as many people as possible from as many different sources to help them create amazing playtimes.
Oh, that's just so good. Thank you very much. I look forward to you joining our Q&A panel at the end. Anybody's got any questions for Anthony for about beyond sandpits, but also all the other things you saw in that wonderful video, do get them in the chat. I'm going to welcome now the wonderful team from Fairlawn Primary School. So I believe we have Robert Evans, Rachel Peters, Emily. Emily, do you want to introduce your amazing team?
Well, yes, because this is all about people making play. And although I introduced OPAL back in 2019, there's absolutely no way we'd be where we are now if we didn't have our fabulous OPAL curriculum leads. So Robert is a trained forest school teacher as well as a Year 5 teacher, leads on science, runs our pupil parliament, and is an absolute play champion. And then we have Rachel, who is our eco rep lead and teaches in Year 1. She also has a child in a local school. So we had very early adopters, and they have really pushed it. In fact, made us do things that maybe we weren't comfortable to do yet, to, push the child's agenda. So I am definitely going to hand over to them because they've got a little video and some things to tell you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. So obviously we've had a lot of support from our leadership team to help introduce OPAL at Fairlawn, but it's involved more than just having support from our leaders. It's involved changing the perception of what play looks like and feels like with our whole school community. And that's taken a bit of time and a bit of effort. We've had to change the perception of what play is for our parents, all the teachers, our PTA, the governors, and even our maintenance team. We've had to change what people understand play to be and what it looks like. We've also had to change what our school looks like. It doesn't look neat and tidy anymore. There is play equipment everywhere. And we've also had to take parts of our school which weren't accessible to children, and we've opened them up. We've made them part of the play, part of our play environment. So it's taken a lot of time and a lot of effort, but play has become the very heart of Fairlawn.
And building on what Rachel just said, we started our OPAL journey at the same time, really as COVID hit, but also at the same time we were becoming a rights respecting school. So we were embedding the United Nations UNCRC into the heart of the ethos of the school. So the right to play, the respect for children's views, these were things that the children were learning about and that they were embracing. So we showed them the vision of where we wanted to take play, and we really earned their trust. And I think what Rachel said about changing spaces, we showed them what could be possible. And you can see the children playing with adults there. I think the children persuaded some of the adults who maybe weren't so keen to begin with, that actually, like Michael says, if we trust the competent child, the children, they are worth you trusting them. And that mutual empowerment between the children and the adults has really led to such a brilliant change, changing attitude, changing spaces, and changing ethos at our school. So we've got a video from more people to tell you a little bit more about Fairlawn.
Fairlawn since OPAL.
This is quite quiet. I do recommend everybody whack up your sound, tell everybody to shut up behind you and just listen really carefully.
They're no longer sort of confined to one playground, one area. All areas of the school have pretty much been opened up now. It's free flow, so all ages can play. It's just so much more enriched and inclusive. Things overall, I think there's something for everybody now at playtime. We have, physical parts of play. We have creative, we have calm areas, quiet areas.
Rachel's really upset about my
dressing up. There's just something for everybody. I think it's the best part now. Yeah, playtime. Sort of play rangers now, which is rather than sort of lunchtime supervisors before, it was more sort of supervising children, and I think just telling them all not to do this, not to do that. I think it's more now encouraging play, we facilitate play, want them to try new things. Oh look, what could we do with this? They give them spare parts, and in fact, children probably, they're more creative than we are. They come up with wonderful ideas. So yeah.
Play has changed beyond recognition at Fairlawn, and with that, the adults have had to change too, particularly me. I've been teaching for a very long time, over 3 decades, and I've had to start asking myself the question, why am I saying this to the children? Why am I saying, no, they can't go there, or they must stop doing that, or it's dangerous to go behind the shed? It's not actually dangerous, and I think what we've become is risk embracing rather than risk averse. So that's what I'd like to say about open play. It's been transformative, and I would never go back to how it was before.
Hi, my name's Jeremy. I'm a parent at Fairlawn and local designer maker. I think that schools, since I've known it, has been really changing its attitude to play, having so much more resources, opening up green spaces. We built a tree house that I designed for the Golden Garden space, which has been a real success and a kind of respite place for kids to have creative time, reading in nature. The school identified they needed some more dynamic, moving parts because all their current play equipment's really rigid and fixed. So we designed this 100% recycled playground made of bicycle tires, which are really robust, waterproof, loads of high technology in them, but kind of destined for landfill after their useful life. So it's really wonderful to repurpose them into a free-formed bringing and climbing space in a natural spot. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Charlotte, a parent at Fairlawn. How do I help foster play at Fairlawn? Well, I'm 100% behind it. I'm sort of in the person that's trying to communicate between the play leaders and the parents and carers at Fairlawn. I post information about donations that are needed on the PTA WhatsApp, which then is fed to the different class WhatsApps about donations needed for play days. I'll remind people when play days are happening. I've just written a little piece for the weekly school newsletter about winter play and how we're going to have to think more about what children are wearing so they can get the best out of their play every day. And we're trying to build up a clothes bank in each classroom of spare coats, warm tops, jumpers, socks, gloves. So if children get wet or muddy at playtime, it doesn't affect their learning in the afternoon. If they're a bit cold, if they've forgot their coat. So all these things aren't something that will stop them playing or getting the best out of their learning. So just to finish off, just to say that I think the most wonderful thing is that the atmosphere at lunchtime, break time, play days is one of pure joy. Every child is engaged, happy, interested, working in groups, busy, having fun, using their imagination, being creative, having the best time. Thank you.
What I like about Fairlawn playtimes is there's so much to do. You can really express your creative ideas with all the equipment. And one of my personal favourites is making big dens with all the crates. What I liked about playtime is that we've got so much equipment and everybody's including everyone else. But my personal favourites are playing in the mats and doing gymnastics and swinging in the hammocks. I like all the different activities and all the different toys. I love to say that. What I really like about open play is that there's so many different spaces that you can play in and not just one confined space. Like there's the Golden Garden, the mud area, the water play area, and the slope. It's just, there's like a lot of freedom with it. What I like about open play is we get to play with loads of different people, older and younger than us, and I just like to say hi to them whenever. And I just like having the freedom to run around wherever I want, whenever I want. And it's just amazing. Making obstacle courses with my friends and playing in the mud. I like making mud pies with my friends and playing in the mud with my friends. I like building with the poles and the crates and the planks. I like how there's lots of equipment that the teachers give us, and my favourite equipment is the wheelie boards and stick boards. I think there's so many things to do at playtime, but one of my favourite things is to play in the mud kitchen. When I'm at playtime, I love doing tire races with my friends and riding them down the hill. I like going in the digger zone because I like to get muddy. I like to go on the swings to play with my friends.
So much good stuff. So you were in the heart of London.
Yes.
And you're playing like you're in, I don't know, just.
Yes. I watched the earlier video and I was sort of looking longingly at those fields thinking, oh, I'd love a sandpit that big. But actually, we really do have quite a small, a small space, but we make the most of it. And even sort of really small spaces, which before we didn't sort of see them as play spaces, we've opened those up. And now they've become little nooks and crannies, which can be, calm areas or reading areas. So there's so much variety, and that sort of goes back to what Juliet was saying. And it really resonated with me that there's so much variety. There's something for everybody.
Robert, could you tell me, what was of all the people that have helped you make play happen? Who are the people you'd particularly like to say thank you to?
Well, we've got a great parent community here. So we've, as you saw from the video, we're very fortunate that we've got people that are really passionate about play in the community. All the maintenance staff that have had to deal with all the requests that we make. So our school is on a hill, which doesn't make things particularly easy. So when we get things like soil or sand delivered, they get delivered to the bottom of the hill. And the only way is through wheelbarrow work. So the maintenance staff definitely, and then the play rangers, who have gone from from not really engaging with play, being told to tell people to stop doing things. It's been a big change for them, and they have just embraced it. I think the children and them together have really worked as an incredible team, and it's just such a positive atmosphere now on the playground.
I often think that just the simple act of turning people from being lunchtime supervisors to being a play ranger, it's just a wonderful way to say thank you and celebrate your people. I look forward to seeing you back here in the Q&A. And congratulations, everybody. Michael will be awarding the Fairlawn their platinum next week with lots of VIPs, I believe. So congratulations on that. We're going to go up north now, back up to Lancashire.
Hello.
Are you still living in Accrington?
I am.
My mum was like, make sure you say hi to Chris. She's from Accrington, Devonshire Street, she grew up on.
Yeah, no, I'm still up in this sunny, wet Accrington, definitely. So, yeah, nice to see you again.
Lovely to see you too. I'm going to go straight into your presentation because we haven't got an awful lot of time.
Yeah, so I'm going to be quick, so you'll be pleased with that.
I will be. I'm going to go. There you go, Chris. You wanted me to share, didn't it? Or do you want to share?
Well, I'll just have to say click, won't I?
You just need to say click. I'm going to turn my video off so you can't see me. Oh, I can't wait to see what's happened next in your journey. If you want to see what Chris did right at the beginning, he's got a video on our YouTube site. But I look forward to seeing what you're up to now.
Okay. So if you click away for me, Kat. So this is it's the start, and there's loads and loads of people who've all said there's very similar things about the playground structure of the team and who is in charge of different things. And Broadway is no different in that, with our playground leaders, our governors that support us, our parents that support us. And it's just, this is the picture similar to what Michael showed at the beginning. That was our playground. I was searching and searching for hours looking for a picture of our playground that was before OPAL. Now there's billions literally, but there just wasn't any. And I think that play is really, really important. I felt it was so important actually that when we appointed our new deputy head, the playground became part of my interview process. So they actually, part of one of the tasks for the deputy heads was to come, there was 4 of them, they had to come into school as part of their visit, and they were thrown out onto a playtime to see how they engage with children. And it made a big difference in my decision because you could see a different side to how they played and how they interacted with children. If you click for me, that'd be great. So playing in Broadway, we have all sorts of different things. And the thing that these are just some of them. We have our mud, we have our Teletubby Hill. That's an area that, like people have said, an area that we've never used. We have our tyres, we have our ropes, we've secured areas, we let in the grass grow. We do all of these different things. But I'm not really going to talk about the playground team really and all those. I want to talk more about the community, because I think as a school, the community, the parents, the local businesses, they have all massively helped our school get to where we are now. The tyres, we didn't buy them, they were donated. Even the rope that you can see in the background, donated from different people. Tesco, fantastic, their community cohesion aspect, helping us out with that. Only the other day they came with another voucher so we can just go and top up our chalks and things. The flowers and all the garden behind those girls and the Teletubby Hill area, the parents making it the way that it is, the staff making it the way it is, not actually costing us any money. If you click for me, that'd be great. So this is a little video. So there's a few little videos of the children giving you some information. So here it is. Hopefully you can hear her.
What do you like about the playground? The trains. What do you like about them? That you could build lots of things with them. Do you remember anything about the old playground? The only thing I remember about the old playground is an obstacle course. Do you want to add anything new to the playground? No. Okay, thank you. Perfect.
So that's just an example. There's a few. So those are my playground detectives. So she goes round, she's her job that week to go around. This is, you can just play, this is just children, older children, just playing with all the different types of equipment that we have and just having a good old laugh with it. Now, one of the things that we've noticed as well about the children playing is the vocabulary that they're using. And that was commented upon when I did one of my observations of play and listening to the children talking and how they were interacting with each other and using that vocabulary that was then coming into class, which I thought was really good. And then if you click, and I think you might have to unmute it on the next one. I don't know why, because that should have had sound. But the next one, if you click for that, is, yes, if you can unmute her. I don't know why. Oh, that's all right. So, we've all gone quiet.
I don't know why. Go on.
Yeah.
I like the tires. Tires are right here. Why do you like the tires? Because I like it to room and out here. Okay. Do you remember the old playground? Yeah. I don't think you were there. What do you mean? want to add anything to the playground? You can have slide, swings, side.
So what I thought was interesting about this one is that Paige has, as you may have noticed, she has her speech and language issues, and she doesn't actually know when the girls at the playground detective said, do you know what do you remember what playtime looked like before?
Oh, I think we've lost Chris. Chris, oh, you're back. You've gone mute.
There you go, sorry. Can you hear me? So
I can.
I don't know what cut off, but Paige is one of our children that has that's videos done, Pat, but she doesn't remember what playtime was like before OPAL. She was asked and she said yes, but actually she has no idea, because one of the things I've noticed is that the children now, they kind of expect playtime to be like that. It's not anything different. It's not unusual. It's what's there. And we have normally children who come to Broadway stay at Broadway, but when they do leave, or if they leave, I think they have a bit of a shock to the system of how play is different for them. If you click for me, Kat. So it's just those different things. Like we've seen with the Den building, getting people involved, the different people there. There's some of my playground leaders. You'll see there that she's not in the high-vis because it was a wet day that day, but we have high-vis jackets, they have radios, they have all those so they can get around and see. But again, it's community helping. All of those crates were donated by Holland's Pies. All those tyres were donated by local garages that didn't need tyres. So again, it's not cost an absolute fortune by any stretch of the imagination. If you click again, Kat. The mud, we love our mud, donated of old toys, different things. The parents, and it goes back to what Michael was saying, getting the parents involved. They understand that this is what children are like. This parent wasn't particularly bothered about the fact that that white t-shirt was destroyed. We do have our waterproofs and things, but she just accepted it. And a part of that is from the next slide. My memory serves correct with the dressing up. And then the next slide. And the car. So that's another thing that was donated. That actually is car version 1. The children destroyed it by the end of an academic year. So we have now got a new car, but it's that being able to play and engage with it. But the slide that you've just seen there that Kath showed, that was how we engaged our parents. So when we first started it, I did have a few parents saying along the lines of, why is my child coming home with wet socks? And this was before we'd established all of the wet gear that we now wear. And what I found is that by involving the parents, getting the parents in, coming and seeing play, having a play day. This is a play day that one of the mentors, Charlotte, attended, and it was absolutely pouring down. And Charlotte will agree, she was amazed. 60 odd parents arrived. We don't get that kind of engagement from our parents usually, but 60 odd parents arrived. We did that. Second time we did a hot one. A hot day, and we had ice cream on the playground. The parents came, and it was a lovely day seeing how play is developed. And car, it could be a scary thing having. We have a cash car now, and some of the parents comment that our school car that you can play in is literally is better than their car that they have. But it was again a local scrapyard. The car is going to go to the scrap man to be scrapped when we're fed up with it. But the children do all sorts with it. They climb in it, they climb through it, they paint it, they deflate or inflate the tyres. We safely look at the engine, but also we open up the boot. And the other day it was fantastic. If I could have got it, they built tarpaulin up, not tarpaulin, crates and sticks and planks and tyres, so that they could build a ramp so that they could have an easy access into the boot of the car without having to climb up. It's just a fantastic use of a material. And that's me really, Kath. Oh no, I forgot this one. The community again. The community getting involved. They bought this boat. So this boat now is actually still being refurbed to do it. But it was the children working, the parents getting involved, so that we actually raised some money by climbing up Pendle Hill, which is a local hill. So this is the Pendle, and it was a boat that the community bought for us. And that's the impact. But I've kind of said about all of those things about how of there. But it's just brilliant. It really is. The impact has been amazing. And that's it.
Oh, that's so good to see. And it's good to see those rural schools with the small playground, but like loads of children just doing so many different things.
Yeah.
Chris, I would love to stop and chat, but we've got three more speakers still to come tonight, and like loads more ideas. So you're coming back to join us in the Q&A, yeah?
I will. Okay.
Speak to you soon. I'm actually going to go straight to this. Oh, stop share. I'm going to go straight to Natasha from Grange Primary School in Gloucestershire, who sent through a wonderful video that we're going to use, and I've got can we see that? Grange Primary School, yes, you can see that. That's brilliant. So Grange Primary School in Gloucestershire, it's a larger than average suburban primary school up there. They started their OPAL journey in 2020, and they recently achieved a gold award for their OPAL play. 1.5 form entry, huge grounds. So those of you watching who've got big grounds, look out for loads of great ideas on this. It comes in two parts. We've got a presentation they're showing us first, and then we've got a little bit of a mini film. Enjoy.
So we're here from Grange Primary Academy, which is a slightly bigger than average school in Gloucester, inner city Gloucester. We're in an area of quite high deprivation, and one of the fabulous things about our school is that we have a huge ground. We were quite good at using the outside areas when we started our journey. However, we have become hugely much better, and we have just been awarded with a gold OPAL award, so we're really proud of that. So we started our journey, our OPAL journey, in September 2020. This is a plan of our site, so you can see quite how huge it is. We've got a whole wooded area, which we actually call the meadow, but that wooded area is the small sort of slightly off-centered square that you can see in the left-hand side of our picture. So in context, that's a huge area. So that's one of our biggest benefits, as well as something that's been difficult for us, having such a huge ground. We met with parents, we met with children, we met with staff, our whole community, to talk about what our quick wins would be, and we came up with a plan of our site. So our site looked a little bit like this when it was split up into different areas. In terms of COVID, at this point we had gone into lockdown, although we had children in school, they just returned. So having separate areas was actually really good for us, because it meant that we would have one group of children in the wooded area. So that would be, say, year 2 in the wooded area for a week, and year 3 would be in the football pitch for a week, and then year 4 would be loose parts, and we would rotate the groups around, and that was really good for us. But so we started off by splitting up our setting into these areas, and we then carried on using that during COVID to separate the year groups. So we really learned, and the staff that manned and used the areas really learnt how to get to grips with them. We did a risk benefit analysis of all of the areas as well when we started. So the member of staff that was with the loose part play area would have been with year 2 with that for a week, and they would have really got to grips with all the pros and cons of using that, and then they might have moved to the sandpit for a week following that. So all areas and all children used all areas with all staff in the beginning. We also set to work using the parent helpers. They helped us make a big sandpit that we used, and they helped us to clear the site. And a lot of this was done during lockdown. That helped us because we had some parents that weren't able to go into work, so they were using their spare time and their free time to support us with making the sandpit. And we, you can see one of our play leads setting fire to some of the equipment that was broken in the bottom picture as well. One of our big issues was whether we were going to use our mugger or not use our mugger. So you can see from the site map that our mugger is on the playground and it's quite hidden. We use it a lot for PE, and we thought initially that it would be a great area for us to have dressing up. There's a stage next to it which we thought we would use, and we did use it during COVID when we had to separate children. However, when we then brought the whole school back together for whole school playtimes, we found that our site was just way too big to incorporate the staffing of the area, so we have stopped using it as an OPAL area, and we now just use it for PE. But that was a big sort of question that we had with ourselves about whether we would continue to use it or not.
Now, the way in which we manage our play is very child-led. So, as mentioned before, we use something called a benefit risk analysis on all of our areas whenever they are introduced. We do this with staff, but we also do it with children. That way they have ownership with their class teacher of the areas that they're playing in. We always ask them, what is good about having a sandpit or a mud kitchen or loose parts? And the children themselves come up with those benefits first, which is really important. We then look at the risks and we explain to them our duty of care, how we have to keep them safe, and how actually we're being really innovative with our play and letting them play with these things that their parents didn't have, things that other schools in the local area don't have. So we do place emphasis on that, what could go wrong. And again, they generate this list, and in addition to that, we then link in our school code to look at how we can minimise these risks through being respectful, through checking before we go anywhere, through being honest if something is broken or you have actually thrown sand in someone's face purposely or accidentally, being honest about that and then dealing with these consequences. So this here are some photographs of what our site is like now. And it's really quite interesting because the loose parts are really popular. The tree stumps, the tyres, the almost bric-a-brac, if you will, to make the dens. You can see in the bottom corner we have a cable reel with some crates, and this is something from our Key Stage 1 children. And I think what we have found through our journey with loose parts, the rule of plenty is definitely something we try and aspire to. And as a result of this, we've created some links with some of the local businesses in our community who have donated all sorts of things. Scaffolding planks, deck chairs, we've had lots of tyres, crates, pallet tops. We've even had donations of pots and pans from mud kitchen area. One of the things we found really interesting is the parts that we had for a caravan to make a reading area or place to play, and our small world play area, the two pictures in the centre and to the left hand side. They're the areas that are not really played with as much, with children favouring those loose parts. To help manage play, we also created a competition in school of what we could name our play leaders who were children, and this was a whole school competition and it really grew legs and ran, and the children themselves proposed and voted for the name Grange Ranger. So they are a Grange Ranger. They'll go outside at lunchtime, they will help support play, they will help set up areas, they will know what to do with broken loose parts. They almost act as our go-between them, between adults on the OPAL team and the children in classes. So it was something that they had to apply for, and they created a little job description and a person specification which they referred to in their applications. We have a mixture of children in Key Stage 2 doing this role, and we do try and rotate it on a bi-yearly basis, a yearly basis, so that the older Grange Rangers can train the younger Grange Rangers. I think we'll all agree that was just fabulous. Natasha is here in the audience. We can't work out how to get her backstage, so I'm hoping we'll fix that by the time we get to the Q&A. But do talk to her on the chat. Tracey, come and join me. Hey, Tracey.
Hi.
Hello. Oh, lovely to meet you again. Like,
can you see?
I know there's a few questions out there about big stuff. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yes.
Brilliant. Can you start your video just to say hi?
Oh, there we go.
There you go. There you go. So I've got your presentation all lined up. Shall we just go straight to?
Yep, please do.
I want to hear all about this, and I love the way you managed to embed some videos in here. It's very exciting.
Nothing to do with makeup.
Can you just tell me how many pupils has your school got?
We have about 220 at the moment.
Yeah, because we have got like this whole workshop has been like lots of different sizes of skulls. It's like it's fascinating to see the different ways you all use. Every school is so different.
Mm-hmm.
Right, I am going to go. There we go. So, Tracey from Backfield Academy, take it away. Just let me know. Just like give me a whittle or like shout whenever you want me to move on.
Yeah, we'll just move on.
Every lunchtime, if people want it, they can come into this massive forest and build shelters, stems, and other cool stuff like that. And on holidays like Christmas and Halloween, we'll celebrate stuff in here and decorate it with things for that season.
So this is our forest area that we're very fortunate to have on site. And prior to OPAL and me coming to the school, that forest actually wasn't used at all.
So I think it's been set up to move itself forward automatically. That's not me moving it forward. Just let me know. Do you want me to
that's absolutely fine. We can just go. We'll just roll with it.
Right. You need to watch this one. This is lovely. Go ahead, Tracey.
Yes, so as I say, we had our forest that was open, but messy play we recognise as really important because the principles do start in early years, but then it's tended to finish from there. So our children love messy play, and we've had lots of things just donated, as all of the other schools have. We've built a mud kitchen. Our site supervisor built us a mud kitchen. We've had parents bring lots and lots of things in for us. So most of what we do within our OPAL is free. It's cost us very, very little, I have to say. And again, large cable reels, they came from just contacts we had, some from parents, some from contacts of staff, local businesses, all very supportive. So you can't hear James very well. This is our garden. We started a wellbeing garden area last year. There we go. And the children have been growing their own produce. And what we do with that produce is we have a little shop, which is one of our new additions this year. And when the children grow the produce, they just put it in the shop, and that's free for parents to take, because within the climate today of economic hardship, we just want to support that community as much as we can. But the gardening club has been very, very successful. The children go out at lunchtimes and playtimes now. They take charge of it. They look after it. They do all the watering the garden. And we have, from that, we've picked 3 head gardeners, and they take very much charge of all of that. I think what the girls were saying is we love gardening there. So we developed a sensory garden. Again, this came about after COVID, and the children wanted an area where they could just sit quietly, they could just reflect, and we developed that sensory garden with the children. The sound we seem to be having a few problems with the sounds.
So they're saying in the last one, they said one of the things we absolutely love is the den building.
Yeah, they love the den building. And the boat that Charlotte's just, this was the den building. And then Charlotte's just saying that the boat, this was donated by a parent who happened to say that, you know, they work in haulage and things. So they have plans to develop that. And again, it's very much what the children want. We're always led by what they want to develop within our playground. And there's our site supervisor having a meeting with the children and them telling them what they wanted to turn it into.
I particularly love how it's buried in the ground. That was
the only cost we had, because we did have to pay to get the company to come in and to dig it and to put it under, to put it in the ground, so it was absolutely secure, but everything else was free. And again, that's just, as I say, you know, some of the construction things, very similar to other people, pallets, crates, all free.
And he loves making construction out of all the construction things.
He does.
Just adorable.
I like the bikes to do new tricks.
I like the bikes and scooters to do new tricks.
And again, lots of bikes and scooters, again, they have been donated. And what we do is when they come in, we give them obviously a health check. We have a look at them to make sure that they are safe to go out. And we have bought some of those things ourselves through our pay fund. We bought some pogo sticks and some wobble boards and things like that. But a lot of the bikes and scooters, again, come from the donation from parents.
I like.
And this is all weathers. It doesn't matter what the weather is. We're out there. We have welly racks outside. The children bring wellies into school. And we also encourage them to take care of the area as well. So they do help to maintain it, and they love doing it. You can just see a little bit of our sensory garden at the bottom there. Again, you can't hear. We love tyres, and they do all sorts with the tyres. And one of the things we decided to do was we would make a tyre rope swing. It's what they wanted, and it's actually such a hit. We can't get them out of school at the end of the day because they want to go back onto the tyre swing. But that was done with some staff and the children working together. and then we had a check to make sure it was safe.
I think he was saying that he loves playing in the mud and he likes playing with all the stuff.
Yeah.
Don't we all love playing with the mud?
Yeah, don't we all? Yeah, and then the next day, again, this was because we already did have some climbing equipment in, but really, other than that, we were quite limited before we started our journey. You know, we did have a forest, we did have some climbing equipment, we did have some play equipment, but we're completely different to school to where we were when we started a few years ago.
It was a bit different because we didn't have as much space. But now since we've got OPAL, we have bigger spaces and more equipment.
I love that. It was a bit different. Is that how you'd describe it, Tracey?
A bit different. I think it's very different. I think OPAL's very, very different now. And when we get children who come to visit new children in, you know, they often say, "Oh, it's not like this in my school," and we let the children play wherever they want. So we don't have Key Stage 1 and we don't have Key Stage 2. They play across. It's open for all of them. And at first, you know, we did introduce that little bit by, you know, bit by bit, but it's actually been very, very successful, and they've been doing that for a number of years. When COVID hit, and obviously everything we had put in place almost had to stop and it was zoned off, we actually saw the impact that had on the children, because they were used to having such active playtimes and then they weren't. That was actually affecting the well-being, and we really had to think how we could develop the zones very actively. So when we were allowed to open it up and have the full open experience again, it's made a huge difference.
I bet. If there's one person you were going to say thank you to, who would it be?
Again, like most people, it's a huge community, but what is key is to have that one person who drives it, and to make us, I actually know that this person is on the webinar today, and that is Stacey Grote, who is one of my teachers, and she has a real passion for OPAL, and she drives everything, and she is quite a driver with the bingo boards. She's got the community on board, she's got the staff on board, and she is key to the whole success of it. But it is a whole community.
Fantastic. Tracey, I'm going to have to move on because we are out over time, but thank you so much. I'll see you again soon. I'm going to share now Clare Green. Oh, Claire, are you able to turn your video on there?
Hi, can you hear me?
I can. So remind me, how big's your school?
In terms of numbers of pupils, we're quite small. We're 144 at the moment, but my site is huge.
I think that's been a real feature of today. Do you want to say a few words before your presentation, or shall I just go straight into the video?
No, I've got a few bits to say, if that's all right.
Absolutely fine. You've got, we're running a little bit over, but people, stay for this video and stay for the Q&A. But this video is just beautifully illustrates all the people we need to thank around making great play happen. Okay, Claire, I'll speak to you soon.
Okay, so just a bit of context, really. So my school is in Bath, but it's on the outskirts of Bath, surrounded by affluence, but we are in an area of really high deprivation. So currently I've got 67% of my pupils in receipt of pupil premium, and 34% of my children have special educational needs. I thought about just giving a few bits of advice before the video plays. The first thing is go and see it. Go to a school where play happens. That's what I did. And a huge thank you to Joe at St Saviour's, who's part of our trust, for giving me the opportunity to go and see it. And any skeptics, take them with you. That's the way to get them on board. Join the online community. You get loads of great ideas. You'll see a boat in my video as well, and that was seen in one of the other OPAL schools, and I just thought I have to have a boat. make sure you just send out random emails, phone people, and you get all sorts of things. I've got a boat and a bus that have just arrived because I sent out a random email. It needs to be valued from the top down. Unless your senior leadership structure are really valuing play, then it won't work. The two things that have really helped our play probably in the last year to 18 months is that we have an active uniform. So they wear trainers, they can wear hoodies, they can wear jogging bottoms. They still look really smart, but they can get out and play. And the other thing is we increased our morning playtime by 5 minutes. And that just shows everybody how much we value play. And it's a real team effort, which you'll see in the video. And this video is a real thank you to my team for doing what they do. And the final thing is, you know, I'm a head. I was lucky enough to survive an Ofsted inspection in June. And we know it's not all about that. But if you're a head, you know that that sort of sits on your shoulder. The second paragraph of my Ofsted inspection says this: pupils enjoy coming to school. During social times, pupils enjoy a wide range of activities such as table football, chalk drawings on the playground, and playing in the mud kitchen. As a result, there is a calm and orderly atmosphere in the school and on the playground. And that was just a huge testament to the impact that OPAL and play have had in my school. And now, here's the video.
Hopefully this video will give thanks to all those people who make our play possible, from our dedicated midday supervisors who worry about the food in the dinner hall to our play team who help enable our play. Our vision for our pupils is to be ready for life now and in the future, and what we promote in play links to lots of other approaches which make our school a great place to play and be. We'd like to thank Juliet Robertson, who designed our OPAL Play logo, which we use to promote our posts on social media. Please follow us on Twitter. We are lucky we have a play bus, thanks to First Bus for the donation, the free delivery, and of course the repairs. We thank Boat Folk in Portishead Marina for donating our boat Lost. And the sandpit, which sits alongside our boat, is thanks to a pupil wellbeing fund from our trust BW Mat following the pandemic. We do also have some existing play equipment, which we are thankful for, but mostly only use it to make dens, sit, and of course, just hang around. Thanks to another Twitter connection, Steph Kimball, for designing this piece of artwork, which we use to celebrate our play. We want to thank Michael Follett for not only founding OPAL, but back in the day helping the school be part of the PlayPod project. We still use it today for all our spare parts. It does need a tidy quite often, and our head teacher loves doing this. Without our play team, so much of play would not happen, but in this shot you can see that the children are able to self-manage turn taking. We have adults who help us grow things. We even had a pumpkin recently. They think of great activities and bring in resources for us to make things like bow and arrows and to make things like these birds' nests. All of our team are involved in OPAL, and we like to be able to use our learning from in the classroom out at play. Here's some Italian. We also would like to thank our adults for keeping us safe, but also letting us climb trees. In the summer, there were fossil hunters, and the play team ensured they were safe with the equipment to do so: goggles, mallets, and chisels. Our families help us too. We always need more pots and pans. Our play team have great ideas, such as this slackline. We also use things from in the classroom, like our Commando Joe sessions, out in our play space. Teddy, our school dog, loves OPAL play too, and we can use anything in play, like old bits of Christmas trees. On Fridays, we have a dance option. Thanks, Freya. Our play team plan for all the 16 types of play, including options that can help us when we are feeling sad or cross, or we want to cheer ourselves up. This links to our learning about zones of regulation, and you can see pictures and posters to help around our play spaces. Den building remains a favourite activity, and we thank our site manager for leaving our dens for longer periods so that we can really develop them. It's looking like a whole village now. Oh, okay. All right. Ready for the next development, maybe. What about over there? Is that a different building? Oh, that's the kitchen. If you didn't catch that, this is the kitchen. Some of our items need more protection from the weather, so we pack them away, and adults help us to get them out when we want them. We love wheels, and all of the items that you see have been donated. Thank you to our parents and carers for understanding that we often get muddy. She's helping the children take turns so that we all use the equipment fairly. Sometimes we're able to do that on our own, but other times we need the adult to help us. Some activities need more direct supervision, like wheels and the slack line. There is still room for football, but this sometimes needs extra supervision too. We even have indoor options, the library or some time with our chaplain. We have plenty more OPAL videos on our OPAL playlist on our YouTube channel. If you like what you saw, please do feel free to go and check them out or see what's happening on our Twitter feed. And finally, in our children's words, check out what they think about play and the people who help them with it.
I'm literally welling up here. I'm going, so beautiful. I'm going to invite all the other panelists, come on through into the front end. Claire, thank you so much. What exactly was it the Ofsted people said?
So they said it was the as a result part. As a result, there is a calm and orderly atmosphere in the school and on the playground. So even with all of that stuff going on, you know, there wouldn't be what some schools you find, like fights or scuffles, all of that sort of stuff, even though we've got so much going on. If I'm completely honest, the only time I ever have an issue at playtime is still around the football pitch.
I think Michael would know that was all. That was just beautiful. We will have all of those videos available to view again on the OPAL YouTube site, and Jamila will be putting that in the chat. Juliet, you've not been to one of these conferences before. Can I just ask your reflection on what you see and what you think the children are developing in that? To my count, we've got one seriously urban school, 400 odd pupils, tiny wee playground there at Fairlawn in Lewisham. We've got 4 suburban schools, classic English schools, and 3 beautiful rural schools. Juliet, what did you think?
It was lovely to see the enthusiasm from both the children and the staff involved. I mean, the theme of this is the people make play, and I think that shines through from everything that we've seen, without a doubt. And it's just lovely to see. And for me, myself, I mean, you spend years and you don't actually think when I started out, 15, 16 years ago as a consultant, I never thought we'd be at this point. I always thought I'd be one of these sort of lone eccentric wolves crying out, play's really good, and let's make play the best time possible. And I'm not imagining this. And I always felt like that. But it's lovely that OPAL has got this clear system in place that really does support schools and an absolute track record here internationally. So it's phenomenal and fantastic to see.
I've got a whole load of questions and not much time to do it because we had so much content there. There is a question about where do we get the big stuff, but I think people have answered that in the chat, and do come and talk to OPAL if you want to know. There's also been a lot of questions about how do you do it in a playground that's really tiny with loads of kids. Go and look at our past conferences or talk to Fairlawn. I want to ask all of you, we've got a new education minister. I can't keep up with how many new ministers we've had. We've potentially got a new government coming in the future. What's the one thing you think the education government should be doing as the people who can help play change here in England? And Juliet, you can think about Scotland. But Fairlawn, can I come to you first as the urban school?
Well, something that we would like to do in our school is to make the school available outside of school times. So something that we're trying to think about how we go on the next step. And I saw this in the national press the other day, was to become a play centre, because we feel that there are a number of our children who, when they leave the school, that's the only time they really get to play. So to try and open up the incredible ground that we've got and the resources that we've got outside of school. So, yeah.
24% of London's kids get to a green space less than once a month, get to an open space to play. Your school could be one of them. Government could definitely do something about that. Grange Primary.
Hi there. Sorry we weren't here, but we kept getting ditched from the Zoom call. So I think that one of the biggest things is to protect it. So keep that playtime as a protected and as a right, and a thing that we can't lose and that we've got to hold on to in schools. So keep as much playtime in our curriculum as a must is the thing that we need to do.
Backfield, Tracey.
There we go, unmuted. Yeah, I think I just agree with the last one, because they talk about extending our school day now. So yes, but don't push out the playtime, because it's very, very important, especially for the well-being of the children at the moment.
We're extending the school day, extend it by more playtime.
Yeah.
Great call, great call. Chris, Broadway.
I think the government, if I want the government to allow risk and to encourage people not to be so scared about risk, because that is probably in OPAL one of the biggest obstacles. Oh my word, they might fall and hurt themselves by climbing on a tyre or whatever it might be. And I think if the government could just allow it and take this health and safety nightmare away and just let children be children, I think that would massively help us as a school that's promoting OPAL.
I think the DfE needs to promote the guidance that they put out. The health and safety guidance will put a link to that in the chat if we can, but the health and safety guidance that specifically says that people must plan for play and risks happen, and they should be doing this. It's like it's not that the government says you can't do it, it's government isn't shouting loud enough about their own guidance that says you should be doing it. But really good point. Anthony.
Yes, same kind of thing as everyone else, really. I think it's trying to get to ITT providers, isn't it, and giving them that information. So when those trainee teachers are coming through, they don't feel like they can't do something. And it's having that message of actually, let's get it for those young career teachers that are coming through, because they're probably the ones that are going to be the most scared about doing something that might not be in black and white on paper. So I think, yeah, if you can get into ITT providers and tell them, oh, do a play day as part of the course or something, or several of them, or just make it all play. That'd be better, wouldn't it? Yeah, just redo the curriculum. That easy.
Adding in more play, once you can identify what's going on in there, more play for ITT. I'm going to go to Neil and Kate and Michael and end with Claire. I think that's everybody.
Okay.
Neil.
Yeah. We just need to get people to come to see the schools. That'll convince them. We've had the Children's Commissioner's Office. We've had 3 MPs in the last 2 months. Ofsted, of course, see it and then sign us up for their own schools if they're a head teacher. And Sport England's been and seen it. We just need to get senior people at DFE to see it, and then they'll understand.
Yeah. So schools, OPAL schools are out there. Invite your MPs to come and see what you're doing, and then get them to take it back, basically, because there'll be a school out there in every constituency. Kate.
I'd like to see more recognition that childhood for children is important right now and should be valued right now. That children are not just little entities that are about to become, that we need to kind of nudge on to become adults. That they have a right to a life right now and a childhood, and playtime is absolutely vital in that. In them just being present and having their own life and their right to childhood and just being right now.
Recognising childhood as important in itself. I love that. Michael.
It's very timely. This Friday we're launching a national media campaign with a group called Radio Relations. I'll be on GB News at 7:45 AM with Anne Diamond. And the message is every school should have a plan for play. This is the single line that we are pushing to DFE, to Ofsted, because of the 20% figure and because the loss of childhood, play in childhood. Every school should have a plan for play, and we don't care if it's with OPAL or not OPAL, but every school should be able to demonstrate what they're doing to provide amazing play for all of their children.
Juliet.
Well, coming from Scotland, I appreciate we're in a very different and very fortunate situation by comparison to England, without a doubt. But I think I'd just echo what other people have said. If you don't have a leadership that doesn't value play, your school's always going to be up against it. It's very difficult. So it's that there are things around that. If it's any consolation to those tomorrow, I'm doing my first workshop for ages, and it's to foundation apprenticeships. These are people who are in S5, S6, your years, your lower and upper sixth, who are considering what career pathways they're doing, and we're giving them a whole thing on skills development and why play matters. So that's how the council.
Embedding it in the childcare training and all the rest all the way through. Fantastic. Claire.
I'd agree with what everyone else was saying, but I would, as an addition to that, I would like the EEF to do a piece of research into it. We all know that the research says it helps. If the EEF do it and it's published on their website, schools will be encouraged to use it. If we could get a line in there, it's encouraged to spend the sport premium on it, spend the pupil premium on it, spend the recovery catch up, whatever it's called. They're not going to give us extra money, But if there could be something that gives schools the confidence to put it in, you know, like I referenced Ofsted with my video, we shouldn't do things for Ofsted, but as soon as somebody says this is Ofsted approved, everybody does it. If we could get that for play in some of those other structures, then I think that would have a really positive impact.
I know that there are some policy people watching. I know they're in the audience. If they aren't today, they'll be getting the email with the live stream of this. So hopefully, you know, the people who are supporting our policy infrastructure will hear this. Parents out there, you've got a huge role to play, telling your constituency, telling your schools they should have a plan for play. I really want to answer more questions, but we are out of time. Next time, probably one school less. Do book on for next March. You'll get an email in the next couple of days. We've already got 8 amazing speakers lined up for next March. I'm going to be tighter on time with them. Michael, I'm going to ask you to round everything up before as we close.
Well, a huge thanks to everybody for attending. A huge thanks to all the panelists, all the people who contributed, and to Kath and the team of people you don't see. Running an event like this, it is really, really complex, and it is a fantastic job to make it seem. I know we've had a couple of minor glitches, but honestly, the amount of work that goes on behind the scenes, and special thanks to Beth and to who else is behind the scenes, Kath?
Jamila,
to Beth and Jamila, working behind the scenes, popping people through the door at the right time, pulling them on. Honestly, you don't. If you haven't tried it, there's a very good reason why I don't do this myself, and I get somebody else to do it. It's really complex. So thank you to all of you, and you are part of a growing movement, and it's great to see it growing at such a rate.
Fantastic. I think we have to close there. Thank you to all of our speakers. Thank you so much for producing those films. We will be sharing them on YouTube after this. Thank you all so much. I hope that we get to actually see you all in real life one day. Speakers will be speaking to you soon. All the audience out there, have a fantastic and playful evening, and get in touch or get your schools to make people. You are the ones that make play happen. People make play. Thank you.